Yeah, thanks to everybody for coming. My name is Steve Brigham. I've been living in Del Norte since 1998. It's a great, quiet little spot. Winter sports are about half my job during the year. During the summer, I've got 2 to 3 trail crews working on mostly motorized trails on the Divide Ranger District. We have about 1 million acres that we manage. And it's a great spot, great area, and it's nice and quiet too. That's the great thing about it. Yeah, and hopefully we'll get snow like this. I think this was in 2005. Big snow cycle. I think we had 130 inches in a week. So that was pretty nice. Just to start off, a little bit of history. So I'm going to concentrate on Wolf Creek Pass area. And it was the site of one of the first ski areas in Colorado, 1938. Charles Elliott went up there, and he did a great presentation. He's about 104 years old now. Maybe 15 years ago in Pagosa Springs, he put on a great presentation about the history of Wolf Creek Pass and the first rope tow they put in. It was very interesting. They found an old there was a flour mill in Monte Vista. They had a 4-strand rope, and nobody knew how to splice or do a splice on a 4-strand rope. It was usually people knew how to do splices on 3 strands. So they found a guy from the Navy who knew how to do it. So they took an 8-cylinder engine from the Alamosa Chevy Ford dealer, brought it up to the pass, and they hooked up a cool little lift right on the north side of the pass, not where Wolf Creek ski area is right now. So the first ski area was actually on the north side, which is the Lobo side. And so from the 30s to the 70s, there was very little limited use in the backcountry and at the ski area. The ski area almost went under until the pitchers bought it. And then from the 1980s, and it seemed like up until the mid-1990s, you really started to see a pickup in use. And then the late 1990s is when there appeared to be, or there was, that competition for powder from all different user groups. And Wolf Creek Pass is not a huge area. I don't know how many thousands of acres, but it's hemmed in on both sides by wilderness areas. You have the Waimanooch Wilderness to the north, which is very close to the highway, only a mile or so away on the north side, and then to the south side, it's maybe 10 miles, the way the crow flies. And so we do have a member of the task force here from the early 2000s, Janelle Cuckoo. Thanks for coming, Janelle from Creed. Good to see you. And it started in 2000 and really picked up in 2002, 2003. And I think there were 2 solid winters in there where there were meetings. And I was looking through all the old meeting notes, and I could go on for about 2 hours about the meetings, but I won't do that. If anybody's interested, I can give you a lot more information. But it was fantastic to have all the different user groups. We had people representing hybrids, snowmobile clubs and riders, outfitter guides, the non-motorized backcountry skiers. So it was great. Snowshoers, sledders that all use this area. So it was great to have everybody there. I probably went to about half of those meetings because I had other commitments. And so what came from that, we had, there were actual surveys that were done. I don't have the copies of those surveys, they're fairly long. So we put them in boxes at the trailhead at the top of Wolf Creek Pass for the users that used, did we put them on both sides, the San Juan? So they were put on the south side, on the San Juan side, and also on the north side of Wolf Creek Pass. And we collected some information to see, it was pretty general information to see if people, if they felt that there were user conflicts between different user groups. And so they collected all that to see if there were any safety concerns that people had. So that was interesting. So the task force, the Forest Service said, hey, you guys figure this out. You go for it, you do it. We'll step in if we think we need to, but I think pretty much we just let the task force vote after about 2 years, and we had a voluntary closure. We tried that for maybe a season or two, and then in 2005 there was an actual closure order, and the task force basically agreed and voted to say we'll allow hybrids and snowmobiles to use the 3-mile-long road to the top of a Lobo Overlook, and so they could still use that great terrain and great hybrid area, but they couldn't go off the 402 road, that 3-mile-long road, to the top. And right off the backside of that to the north is you run into the wilderness back there also. And so this is a picture from last year, even though we didn't have any snow. We said, we're going skiing anyway. And last year up at Wolf Creek Pass, from what the ski area records say, it was the worst year in the last 44 years. So we skied in the backyard sometimes. And right now, currently, I'll show you a few maps in a minute of Wolf Creek Pass. Current winter travel management, most areas are open to motorized or snowmobile use outside of wilderness areas, except for a few pods at the top of Wolf Creek Pass that I'll show you in a minute. And right now we're in the middle of a forest plan revision, and I can say this because I'm going to retire in less than a year. I don't think there'll be any major changes to the winter use, nothing major that I have heard or foresee in the future. The only thing I do know is that Wolf Creek Ski Area does have a proposal. You can look at their website and the Rio Grande National Forest website that talks about, there's a pod, there are 2 different pods, one near the highway, about 300 acres, that they would like to expand the ski area with a new lift on right next to the highway on the San Juan National Forest side. And then there's one to the south of the ski area. It's in very steep terrain. It's more like, I call it, more like a Silverton mountain type ski area. And that would be a possible tram. I don't know when those are going to possibly happen. They haven't done any public scoping or environmental analysis on that yet. And so this is a little difficult to see. I'll step over here if I can figure out the pointer. So South Fork is over here, Pagosa's down at the bottom, and these 3 purple pods I'll talk about in a minute. We do have some closure orders there for no snowmobile use or limited snowmobile use to the Lobo Road. And you can see those, the mountainous areas. You've got the Waimanooch Wilderness here. I didn't draw a good boundary on here. And then down in this area, you've got the South San Juan Wilderness to the south. So that does limit some of the winter motorized use. And so right here we've got, so the first closure area in 2005 that the task force basically voted on, and the Forest Service said, sure, that's great. You guys did a great job. Let's do it. And it's been working great, I think, overall. And that's only about 300 acres or so. It's not that big. And then here's Wolf Creek Ski Area. We've had no snowmobiles or over the snow vehicles since about 1991. When the forest supervisor did a closure order. The green is just the private land in there. And then just last year, with the help of outfitter guides, the snowmobile clubs got together with the Pass Creek Yurt permit holder, and they worked on deciding this boundary. It's approximate in here. I just drew that onto Google Earth. So you have those 3 pods, and anywhere from 2,500 to 3,000 acres. So half of that is Wolf Creek Ski Area. That is no over the snow vehicles at Wolf Creek Pass. So the snowmobile use we have on the San Juan side, I don't know, Matt, how many? 4,000 or 5,000 acres maybe, give or take. And then we have back in this area and back to the east, there were thousands and thousands of acres of snowmobile terrain. And the one thing I thought that was great during the whole process is the user groups going out and actually signing that Lobo Road. We had members of the task force, some of the skiers and the snowshoers came out to help with the signing, and the snowmobile club came out. So it was just great. So I had to get a picture of the people that never get on a snowmobile. I made sure I got a picture of them to use for the presentation. So I'll let them know. But no, they just great people. I thought the task force did a great job. And it's definitely, that's the only way to go, is you got to get all the user groups involved. Here they are putting in the first voluntary closure sign. So what we did, we try to keep people on the Lobo Road, that 3-mile long road to the top of Lobo Overlook. And it sort of worked, and at times it didn't. Here's an example where it really didn't, but if it snowed the next day, it would have been great, but sometimes it doesn't snow for 2-5 weeks. So, you know, one person can go out and unfortunately cause the Forest Service to take the next step with the task force, of course, to discuss doing a actual closure order. Under the voluntary order, you can't give out a ticket, you can only educate. And we still have some areas down at Cumbres Pass, the southern part of the Rio Grande National Forest, that still has a voluntary closure order, and I don't go down there too much, so I'm not sure how it's working at all. But I think overall the Lobo area is working great from what I've seen. And just a photo of the parking lot area. It only holds maybe 20, 30 vehicles. The same thing, the carrying capacity for that area is just what the parking can handle, unless people figure that out and shuttle and park down below. And then here's the newer map showing the closure areas at the top of the pass. And then we do have to post the map in the closure order right here. And we have to do a new one. It used to be we can do them every 5 years, but I've heard the government lawyers want us to do them every 2 years unless you have some really solid environmental analysis. So we'll try to fight that, because I think we could just keep that going indefinitely, but they won't let us do that right now. Have you guys, has anybody heard? Aaron, have you heard what you're doing here in the Gunnison with that? Or John, what you're doing up in?
We have a need for decision for
Okay.
some areas, but not others.
Okay.
So in the areas we have one for 5 years.
Okay. Yeah. I hate doing paperwork every 2 years. And so we have also, there's a Beacon Park up there, and let's see, we're going to have the Beacon Park just down below on Tucker. Have you heard? Oh, a checkpoint. Okay, so they're just going to check to see if your beacon is on. Okay, that's great to have. That's super. And yeah, I could talk for hours, but yeah, I just want everybody to have a safe winter. Maybe later, if you have some more questions, that's a short, brief description of Wolf Creek Pass. And yeah.
Thanks, Steve. We'll
Thanks.
bring everyone.